You live more fully when you are aware that there's an end.
Hey, welcome to Blue Bees podcast.
I wanted to talk about the three poisons from the Wheel of Samsara. So I'm not a studied Buddhist, but it's something I've come across. It's an interesting thing, and I think people will resonate with it. Have you ever seen it before?
I know the wheel of life, wheel of samsara, and I know what it means, and but I never actually look at the three poisons. And lately, I've been looking at it, and I saw the three animals correlated in the middle. Can you tell me more about it?
So you have the three animals, which are biting each other's tail in the center of the wheel. We have the chicken, which is greed. You have the snake, which is hatred, and the pig, which is delusion or ignorance. The reason for each animal, like why a chicken, why a pig, why a snake. The chicken will not stop eating even when it's full, and it will just keep eating until it's bloated and essentially kill itself. Hatred is a snake after, like, you've seen these videos of people who have like a python, and then you hear the horror stories of it escapes and then it goes under the bed and measures itself up to see if it could eat its own owner. So like even after years of the owner showing it kindness and love, the snake will still bite it and poison it, the person, the owner. And then you have the pig, which is ignorance. It doesn't know what it's eating, it just eats and eats and eats, which kind of, in a way, I thought that would be greed, but apparently.
I know that I know that the pigs eat everything they have in front. They also eat like their own meat if they have it in front of them.
You've seen the film Snatch, right? It's like, feed them to the pigs, Errol. But I came across this when I was in Nepal. I was in Kathmandu, and you sort of you walk around just exploring the place, and there's so many. I don't want to say con artists or scammers, but there is, and they sort of everyone's coming up to you and they're trying to like get you to go with them or do this or have a tour guide. And there's one thing that happens where a kid will come up to you and he goes, "Oh, can I take you to my like Buddhist school?" And the first time it happened to me, I was just like, "Okay, sure." So he leads the way. Well, actually, this kid walks up to me and he just starts like following me around, and he's being polite. He's talking to me, and I've had a few scams, so I was just like, okay. So I took him on a bit of a long walk, and he carried on walking with me. Okay, and then before you know it, he's like, "Oh, can I take you to my Buddhist school?" Okay, and we're already there. We like stood outside the front. I was like, "Ah, we're here already." And we went upstairs, and you see, like, he introduced me to this guy who was supposedly runs the school. And the idea is that there's these beautiful paintings everywhere, and these kids who are training monks they would train on making these, I think, mandalas.
Oh, with the so like kind of a color um scent.
This is with paints, so they use like the smallest paintbrush, and like these paintings are. I've got one upstairs. I'll show you. Like they did scam me, but but these pictures are incredible, and like they're not all scammers. Like you. There's lots of shops that have these huge paintings as well, and you just look at the detail, and like I feel like the money is worth it. Like the money they ask for is, in my opinion, way worth this piece of art, because like the will.
I know that they do it in a certain meditation state, so they have to be like in a meditation state the whole time, from the beginning to the end, and it's very fascinating, especially yeah, the mandala they do it with the the kind of color sand, and they do it on the floor, and they clean it when they finish.
As
And
soon
this
as they
is
finish,
means
they wipe it.
yes, because this is means that you have to live the moment, and every moment is sacred, is very important, and it's very that is art for me. That is ultimate art
Yeah, because you're not creating to show others. You're not creating something
as
that you
well.
you you
So you
want.
create for showing others in that very moment when is there. and when it's finished is kind of you finish certain chapters in your life. And I don't know, in a lot of culture I've seen it that there is ceremony when you start something and when you finish it. And it's good to also understand when you is closing something as well, to open another circle.
It's always nice to start new things, right? You start a new book, and you know that initial period of kind of the excitement of something new, and then you have the end where you're near the end of the book and you're finishing it. And I always feel a bit like melancholy when I finish a book, if it's a good book, because I'm like, like you almost, that's a routine for you to read it. But then you have this huge section in the middle, which is the work you have to put in, you know, and that's where you can lose interest and like your patience, and like, that's where the tests are. And this is, I guess, the mandalas, like that is just a consistent like process.
Work.
Yeah, but we're not going to focus too much on the whole Wheel of Samsara because there's so much within it. We could talk forever, and I think there would be many videos. But if we just focus on the 3 poisons, so I want to talk. We'll break down each one, but I want to talk about. Let's start with hatred. So when was the last time you felt hate for something or someone?
I I try to process hate the whole time, but it can be how, I don't know, like
It's a hard one, right? Because it's such a it's such a end like emotion. You know, it's like there's nothing stronger than hatred.
it's very very, and also underneath is very present. You're trying to process that all the time. Like I feel on myself that I kind of hate little things. And I try to process and use it in a better way. Might be, I don't know, at work, a client being asking me to edit or to
You
do
hate them.
certain things the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to be gentle and polite and, you know, and patient, a lot of patience to keep on working on those things. But yeah, there is also, I've noticed, very, very old trait that sometimes come up when I was young, and sometimes it is very strong, you know. Um, we I feel like those kind of really big um, emotion of hate can be how can I say it properly? It's not that easy to work it in that time, and sometimes came up in other times and other moments when you live, like when you're in the shower and you say, "Oh, I should say this. I should, you know, act this way." Uh, that pissed me off so much and everything.
But it annoys you. But is that hatred? I guess
Ye-
if someone killed somebody close to you, that could cause you to hate them, right? Like it has to be something quite drastic, I think. And what about,
yeah, then what about for you?
again, like I don't really ever feel hatred. And I'm not saying that to be virtue signaling or anything, but it's not, I get angry, but I never think like I hate you as a person or I hate a situation or something. Like I think it's gonna make me
What about
uncomfortable.
the government?
Like I don't hate any individual because a lot of people are just working on, they're just following orders. And I think that which drives society, more people should basically critical think, but like take a step back and kind of evaluate. Yes, your job implies someone speeding, so you should arrest them, but maybe you should look. And I've been very fortunate in that when I've been pulled over for speeding, like the police officer when I was younger pulled me over, and it was quite late at night, but he pulled me over, and I was just like, "Ah, okay." And then he said to me, "It's just like, oh, you're speeding." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, like obviously." And then he explains, people can die, and it's the reason why speeding is bad, basically, which I'm aware of. But I feel like he needed to give me this talking to, and then he told me to go to the police station the next day and just show them my ID, and that was it. He didn't give me a fine or anything, and it was like a bit of a slap on the wrist, but he was giving me a lesson when he could have just given me a fine. I think that was way more valuable than so I got speeding fine in Australia, and the police officer didn't even question. He just like chucks me the fine, like the paperwork for the fine, and like I tried to talk to him, and he even turned around to me and was just like, it was when I had got to Australia, and he was like, "Why are you here?" And I was like,
Wow.
"What?" Like, because I think, especially with COVID, a lot of people left. And he's like, "Why are you here?" And I don't know, but it's just a different way. But back to like hatred, like I get angry, but I never feel hatred. I think because everything is deeper than the initial impression. Like whatever you see, there's always way more layers to it. And I think especially as I get older, I'm more understanding of like someone could. I always use like car traffic situations, but someone could cut you up, and the reason they're doing it, they could be have just lost somebody, or there could be a lot of reasons why they're angry or something. So I feel like if you're also angry, like it's just fire and fire. You just make the fire bigger, so it doesn't really help. Okay, but what about say? Because I want to ask you these questions, and then I did actually write down the cures to these things, the ways to move forward outside of these emotions and that. But I've lost the document. So, yeah, I know. I can't find it anywhere. So I don't know and I literally sat there writing all this shit. But anyway, it's so annoying. But we'll get to that. But for you then, how about greed or lust? When was a time in your life where you lusted after something, or greed, or when was the last time you were a cock?
When last time?
That you were a cock? Like in the wheel, the cockerel.
So I can be with food. That can be very easy, like especially and with free things. When they give you free things, and I'm
Oh,
like,
free thing. I thought you
yeah,
said there was
thank
like
you.
free things that you're just like, oh, wow. I need those free. Yeah, no, free stuff.
But also, I feel great sometimes about when I think when I have certain things, I will be happy. And sometimes I call myself back to me when I achieved that, or like, for example, when I was in Australia and I bought the Jeep and I loved it, but that was something that I really wanted to have, but
But that's
of
not
course
greed. That's just like you got a car, which is it's a tool at the end of the day. That kind of frees you
yeah,
up to
but
do a lot of things.
when I was in the car, I was looking other cars, the bigger, bigger cars, and I was thinking, I should accept the bigger car, more expensive, more, more beautiful, more fast, more technologic, more this and that, and I usually used to watch house renovations as well. And I was like thinking, oh, this is my perfect house and it should be this way. And then I was looking on the other side and I want a bigger house, bigger than that, but with more stuff in this. And that will make me happy, and I have changed that old feeling. And of course, I want a house. Of course, I want a car. But
Why
at
did
the
you
same
think
time,
that thing would make you happy?
yeah, it's not that goal that makes me happy. It's myself and now and everything. And if I have, that house that is big enough for me and it is not bigger as that house, next door, like, of course, uh,
But you,
the
so you just reminded me of the cure for. So obviously, I lost my notes, but you speaking, you just reminded me of the cure for greed or lust, and it's the fact that it keeps moving away. No matter how much you chase it, it moves away. You run 2 steps, it's 2 steps away, and it's this like understanding that you will never, like you say, that thing you realized won't complete you. It won't make you happy, and I think when you realize that, you stop chasing.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I feel trying to be more grounded, even though, of course, I want certain things in life and it's good to, have a direction. But at the same times, what I have, that I'm learning detachment, and it's something very hard for me, but I'm trying to do that. And it gives me more peace, more wholeness in myself, and I'm more grounded. But yeah, in the past, especially because whatever, if you look on Instagram, if you look in Facebook, if you look in a magazine, because we had that before and still have, but very little right now, everything outside ourselves and walking down the street now, especially in Australia. I didn't find much when I was back home, but in Australia there is advertising every corner, and there is always certain image or certain things they want to sell you or want to that gives you that emotion of greed, wanted more, wanted, are you going to be more fulfilled with that, or you're going to be that person if you have that. And yeah, I feel like I've been disintoxicated from that
But
will of
it's an easy trap to fall into because the society we're in now relies on us feeling insecure to chase these things because happiness is external now. Like we're told everywhere, like you say, you travel around and stuff, you see all the adverts and stuff, and you see all these beautiful people, and then you look at yourself and it's like, oh, why don't I look like that? And then you start chasing all these, especially with, I feel like women are more susceptible to it than, like men are also susceptible, but like women with makeup and beauty and this like kind of ridiculous standard that you will be happy if you look like this, and I think it is weird because people are starting to look the same. You know what I mean? Like we've lost. Like, as a filmmaker, I love weirdness. I love imperfections, and I love stuff that's not the normal kind of what was the word?
standard.
The standard. Yeah, exactly. And now you see the girls. I'm only using this as an example because it's obvious, but on social media, everyone has the same. Not everybody, but there's a big portion of women who are clearly insecure, who just paste on makeup to look like Kim Kardashian or something, or have the lip fillers or the ass fillers or everything else, all the bodywork and stuff. And to me, that's like, hey, that's a red flag because I'm looking at this person and not that I have any negative energy towards them. And if anything, I kind of feel sorry because I go, you're clearly struggling with your own self. And you think that will bring you happiness. And it's the same with like people who transition from male to female or vice versa. Like I saw there's a little video clip where someone was explaining that each procedure was like Christmas and it would bring them happiness for a short period. And like each procedure, everyone's like, oh wow, you did this, and you get this like, applause and this kind of acceptance. But then before you know it, it's like you buy a new toy and you get bored of it, right? And then you want the next thing. So you have the next procedure, the next thing. And this doesn't stop. And even when you have had all the procedures, like a massive portion of people are still like even more so, they become suicidal, because it's like they've got to the end of this journey and it hasn't brought them what they thought it would. And I guess this is, like you said earlier, and we've talked about it before, like happiness, you can only find happiness within inside of you.
The Buddhist learning about detachment is basically not like sitting on the corner and don't do anything. It's basically um, like trying to learn on yourself to don't detach from reality in those, greed, hate, and in this wheel of samsara, which is incorporates hell and heaven, nirvana and the hell. And there is 8 level of hell and 8 level of heaven inside. And that is samsara. Is keep on going and keep that greed and all that problems, all this poison is already in our lives constantly. And that process of detachment and be in yourself, and then not going outside on, don't reach outside of yourself, give you the possibility to really express your soul, your kind of a destiny or expression of your inner divine essence, and is mind blowing for me because that really help really to understand who you are and where you want to go, and at the same time appreciate every moment as a gift and be grateful, and really let it go of things that have their own journey, and really connect with your own journey and really proceed every ups and downs, and in a way that is more fluid, in a way that is more it doesn't break you for real, which is if you don't really understand who you are and you're more centered, you're easily breakable.
Easily manipulated. Yeah, my friend said to me today actually that he had I think he had an accident and he hit his head for like a couple of years now. He's just had headaches all the time, every day. And he said to me, like, one of the things that's really helped him is meditation. Sorry, wait for the ice cream truck. Yeah, he said meditation is what's been helping him. And one of the things that he said was giving up control. Like giving up and just accepting has actually helped him. And he's started reading like lots of meditation books and that. But you find that interesting because it's like a real physical problem he's having, and this kind of detachment is also helping him.
Because I also have read that the Wheel of Samsara is also saying that there is 8 heaven, 8 hell, and everything, but not only outside, but also inside ourselves. So you have to watch out, not only outside, but also inside ourselves. Because sometimes is something within you that really trick
Mm.
yourselves, and also outside that.
Well, these are all
My Yeah.
these are all these different emotions: greed, hatred, lust. Lust is greed, ignorance, or delusion. Like they're all aspects of the ego. Like these are all like base emotions that once you start being aware of your own ego, like you're in control, you know, and then you can start adding different elements to your life and just being more aware of everything going on around you. You know, like if someone like you're less reactive, I think. That's what I've noticed. Like once you start being mindful of your own emotions, you catch yourself before you take things too far. Or if also like even with people looking, when you're aware of that, you see it in other people. So if someone's stressed out and running around, you know, and they're being stressed of you, like it's easy to fall into the trap of being angry at them without realizing like what their kind of situation's like. And even if their situation is not so bad, you don't know what else is going on. So the last poison is the pig, which is ignorance or delusion. And I find this one very interesting, and I think this seems to me like the most relevant now because of the world we live in with social media. And this is a topic we'll always keep referring back to, I'm sure. But with so much fake news and information overload, it's like how, like one of the key things you could do is just switch off. You just go, okay, I'm not interested. I'm going to go live in the woods, be away from all this. And that may help you short term, but like what was it? The you heard of the Unabomber, right? Here's a guy who there's a Netflix documentary on it, but in the 70s, I think, even all the way up to like 1993, I think it was, he was sending mail bombs to people, and like you sort
Oh.
of go back to the story, like he had a crazy story, which was like he studied at Harvard and was like I think he had like a master's degree at like 15 or something, like very smart guy, was used in some psychological experiments which I think fucked his brain up. And then
Mm.
he's like, right, I've had enough, I'm out of society. He goes, lives in the woods, and after a few years of living in the woods, they start knocking down trees where he lives, and they start like changing the landscape. And this is what causes he, after all this, where he's just like, I've had enough, I don't want to be part of the society, it still comes to him. And I think that's very relevant with our current situation with everything that's gone on around the world, because it's like, yeah, there's a war happening in this place, but then suddenly we see like a massive influx of migrants because of the war. Like I'm not making stuff up. It's like in Africa there's constant struggles. Like Russia has been in there with the Wagner Group, and Russia has been in there, China's in there, and obviously Europe and stuff. But there's like big conflicts that happen, and now we're seeing like the repercussions, which is karma in a way, right? It's like this is what's happened. Now we're seeing this island in Italy, which is flooded with migrants,
Oh,
and
it's been like this for many years. It's getting worse and worse. And especially in Italy, they're trying to do as everything they can, but they still don't have enough resources to help them out. And yeah, like Italy is being very open. They ha- they are not perfect. Like every country, it's not perfect, and they're trying to manage. And when there is so many migrants, it's normal to have some friction. It is not easy to integrate so many people immediately in the society. They don't know the language. They have traumas probably correlated. They There is so many things that is not working, and they need a lot of support, especially from Europe, for all the country from Europe, and to adjust that. uh, that that flow of immigrants. But Africa has to be helped from inside, has to be helped from there.
Well, it's like you've got to go to the root of the problems, and that's big companies. Like it's happened since like through colonialism. Like it's extraction, and extraction has put them in such a terrible place. Now, like if they don't leave, they will like. And I'm not speaking. I am speaking generally, but like, and I guess we don't know the full situation because we're not there. But like you say, it's time I think for Europe and all the other nations to kind of band together and help. And giving money doesn't help the situation because corruption, they take it and then they put it elsewhere. Like
That
there
is
has to be.
also greed. That is also greed. Like a lot of taking. And with technology, we have reached higher level of technology that we can't keep up. As a human being, we can't keep up of this technology that we have right now. What we have keep on going like so fast and so that is insane amount of greed. Then we have to face it in some.
Well, exactly. And I think this comes back to the ignorance where if we put our heads in the sand, like it will eventually come to you physically, like you will face the repercussions. So I think everyone kind of needs to take their own responsibility in that aspect. But at the same time, and I think humanity, and especially younger generation kids, are a lot more tech savvy, and like they've been born, like we're from a previous generation who had the before the internet and after, so we've kind of seen both sides. But like the newer generations are a lot more tech savvy, and we have to be understanding of like our own brain's capacity. So if you're bombarding yourself with all this information, yeah, you may have an interest in it because it is something that affects you. It's like the opposite to ignorance. It's like hyper awareness. But at the same time, I think it's people get addicted to stress, and if you're addicted to the stress being released in your body and you want to know more, you're doing yourself harm. So at some point, you do have to have the balance of stepping away. Like for me, I like to just go out in nature and go for a little stroll and like just listen and you hear the birds and everything, and that helps me find peace. And then I can come back into the kind of awareness of what's going on. But yeah, that is also the cure supposedly for ignorance, which is knowledge. Could you tell me then, like when you were ignorant of something?
Uh, a lot of times when I was young. Uh,
Or delusional, because it's the pig is both.
oh, in love especially, so many times.
Oh,
I don't know, maybe because I grew up with watching so many romantic movies as a girl and everything. We have to kind of do that the whole time, pretty much. As soon as we become women, it seems like that is that direction that we have to do this and think about this and be certain things. And yeah, I think I've grown so much and I trying to don't trust too much what I see, but especially what I feel, what I can touch, what I can count in the end of the day. And I don't know, in so many things, my journey of life have changed so much. Been I went through so many things and having basically two backgrounds, Moroccan and Italian, have shaped me to see reality in so many ways. and
You're now Aussie as well.
and plus Aussie.
You're the trifecta of confusion.
So much stuff is insane. Is insane. And I being I try to connect even more deeper to my God and to what I feel, what I really connect with, and not really connect with what I see, what I listen, and what I even, you know, taste sometimes is completely different from, and I've noticed that really change your perception of reality. Like I remember somebody have telling me that if you go into the supermarket with empty belly, like empty, like you didn't eat the whole day,
Mm,
and you're going shopping, like you ended up buying so many things that you don't need and
mm.
is really bad for you. But if you, for example, go into the supermarket and the first thing that you buy is a bottle of water, the whole rest of the shopping is completely different of the perception that
Oh,
you have.
because you've quenched your what you thought was hunger.
Kind of. Yeah, you
Mm.
kind of give yourself a priority of something pure and simple that
Mm.
is good for you and is
You know,
not.
one that can top that is walking into a supermarket high.
That is another another level. But in a wheel of life is actually there is part of the wheel that is divided in ghost and um, and there is a realm of heaven, which is the top one, and on the side there is a realm of monsters and also a realm of ghosts. That the ghost is basically addiction, all the addiction that really wraps you. Of course, drugs and alcohol are the more common.
I think we could make a million videos on the whole wheel. So let's.
Yeah,
I
I
think
really would like to talk about more about this. Yeah.
um, before we leave, before we like round it all up, let me show you my picture.
Yes.
Like it's not the biggest one. I want to get a bigger one, but you know what they say, size doesn't matter. So
Wow. That is beautiful.
yeah, I don't know if you
Look
can
at
get,
that.
but it's like every little brush, like the tiny little brush strokes and that, like it's incredible. And like the more you look at it, the more you see. I like the for me, I love the fact that you see the grip of death holding the wheel. You know the big demon face with the third eye. That's death, which is forever watching. And I don't know. I resonate with that because I think for me, when you have like deaths in the family and that, it sort of opens your eyes to the reality of it. And I think you live more fully when you are aware that there's an end. You know, if you live forever, you would be in no rush to do anything. But if you know that there is a conclusion, you know, then you make the most of each moment. And like even when you see your friends, you know, like for what I know this is a bit sad or whatever, but like you see a friend, you never know if it's going to be the last time you see them. So I think it's important to make the most.
Mm, yeah. I see the world of life in another way, another spectrum. Um, for me, in my like history, in my life, in personal life, I felt inside the wheel of life, the wheel of samsara, because there were always hits of high and hits of down, and they were very, very strong. and they were like coming and go the whole time. And when I kind of break the wheel, I felt really um, coming out of it and really going kind of a detachment, if you want to say, but that is something that is there, but it's not me fully. Like, it's part of life that I know is part of life, but I'm not running like a little animal inside of it, trying to reach certain direction or certain things. For me, the wheel of life is more that in some sense, and give me more peace. I know there is a beginning and end of everything.
And I think on that, maybe we should bring this video together because, like we said, we could make many more videos on the Wheel of Samsara.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode, and like I enjoyed it. That was great. Like, I like talking about these kind of things because it's a way bigger source of knowledge from thousands of years in our past, you know, and it's there for everybody to explore, and it's fascinating.
Is available and also enrich us. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
If you could give us a like and subscribe, that would be amazing. It's been lovely to speak to you, Maria, and I will see you on the next episode.